Young Gugak sways the British. The Moscow Metro, the museum closest to you. Eoi, the Korean language teacher who taught herself Korean. Hong Seung-nam, the guardian of Korean broadcast in Montreal. Hello, welcome to Going Global. I'm your host, Jung Se-mi. This winter, the weather is expected to be quite out of the ordinary, as weather data so far is indicating a super El Niño. There are already many places around the world that have seen abnormal weather, such as floods, droughts, cold waves, and more. These disturbances are expected to noticeably affect the politics and economics of the world. Experts say that in order to minimize damages and casualties from the super El Niño, the international society must cooperate with regard to emergency aid or taking in refugees, among other issues. In other words, everyone will need to be fully prepared for the super El Niño. Now, on that note, let's move on to our first story of the day. When it comes to Gugak, or Korean traditional music, a fair number of people will associate Gugak with boredom, but there's a group who is breaking this notion. They are Sum, a Gugak duo, and they recently went to the United Kingdom to perform. Let's take a look at Sum's world of music.
A mournful sound, not unlike the cries of a phoenix, breaks through the silence. This sound is made by the sanghwang, the only chord-based instrument among Korean Gugak instruments. The sanghwang and the kayagum create a beautiful harmony, and the audience applauds in appreciation.
It was wonderful. Yes, it was tremendous. Yes, it was mesmerising, really. I just so enjoyed it.
Well, we were just saying how it was really nice that there was such a lovely contrast between the power of the music and the delicacy as well. It's very beautiful.
They are Sum, a Gugak group that took part 2 years ago in the World Music Expo, or WOMEX, the world's largest music exhibition, which was hosted in the UK at that time. Following WOMEX, Sum was invited to perform in the United States and other parts of Europe and spread the sounds of traditional Korean music, or Gugak, wherever they went.
월드뮤직이나 클래식이나 아니면 가요나 그런 것들이 다 통합적으로 들어가 있는 거라고 생각하거든요. 그래서 별로 그렇게 멀게만 느끼시진 않는 것 같고, 그래서 저희 음악을 유럽에서 많이 찾아주시고 좋아해 주시는 것 같아요.
Sum was invited to perform in the opening ceremony of the second K Music Festival this year, and its members got to play in the UK once again.
That feels to me like it is of a career of today and tomorrow, but it also has roots that go back millennia.
Sum completed a 5-nation tour in Europe last year, and they have a second European tour as well as a performance in Brazil planned for this year. The duo hopes to communicate with even more people around the world through Gugak, creating new interpretations of Korean traditional music.
저희가 살면서 느끼고 경험한 음악을 좀 더 많은 사람들한테, 그리고 한국 사람뿐만이 아니라 세계로 나아가서 많은 사람들과 만날 수 있는 기회가 많이 주어진다는 것에 굉장히 감사하고.
Let's move on to our next story. When you visit Moscow, there is a museum you must visit. It is often considered the museum that is closest to the residents, and it is none other than the Moscow Metro. Let's take a closer look at the beautiful underground works of art.
This place has a timeless and magnificent arched ceiling, enchanting chandeliers and marble pillars and walls, beautiful paintings and stained glass, not to mention statues and sculptures. Where is it? It is none other than the Moscow Metro. Beyond the ticket gate in the station, there is a long escalator leading down. At the bottom are stairs. A man wearing a fedora is going down the stairs. Following that man, we come to a wall covered with illustrations. This is Dostoyevskaya Station, named after the famous Russian literary figure Fyodor Dostoevsky. The figure hurriedly rushing down the stairs is likely to be Rodion Raskolnikov, the main character from Dostoevsky's novel Crime and Punishment. The murals also look like scenes from the same book. Moscow's metro conveys Russian history and culture, just like this very station.
지하철이라고 하면은 그냥 교통수단이다라고 우리는 생각하는데 여기는 지하철역마다 각자의 특색이 있게 잘 꾸며놨더라고요. 그래서 지하철마다 되게 구경하는 재미가 쏠쏠해요.
Moscow's subway system was created during the former Soviet Union period to tackle traffic problems. At that time, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin issued orders to have the station's project, the history and the future of the Soviet Union. The first line opened in May 1935, and today there are 12 lines crisscrossing Moscow, ferrying residents across the city. Mayakovskaya Station, considered the most beautiful station in the network, is named after the Soviets' revolutionary figure and Russia's greatest poet, Vladimir Mayakovsky. This station opened in 1938 and won the Grand Prix for architecture at the New York World Trade Fair. The beauty of the station couldn't be denied despite the political conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union. Most subway stations in Russia are 50 meters underground, and some can go as far as 85 meters down.
일단 모스크바 지하철 같은 경우에는 전쟁이 났을 경우 유사시에 벙커로 쓰기 위해 만든 거여가지고 되게 깊고요. 그것 때문에 에스컬레이터를 타고 되게 깊게 오랫동안 내려가야 돼요.
In fact, Moscow's subway stations were used as air raid shelters during World War II, and citizens took refuge there for at least a month. 217 babies were born in the stations during that time. This station with bronze statues at the entrance is Ploshchad Revolyutsy Station. These statues represent the figures who led the socialism revolution, hence the name the Revolution Square.
Больше всего мне нравится станция метро Площадь Революции, она очень красивая. В принципе, она просто очень красивая, и там есть очень много статуй, и есть статуя собаки. Если потрешь ее нос, то твое желание обязательно сбудется, и мне кажется, это очень здорово.
Other stations also have interesting background stories, turning them into famous tourist destinations, and even giving birth to the saying Moscow's closest museum is the subway station. Moscow's subway history is almost synonymous with the history of Russia.
그래서 보시면 정말 이건 지하철이 아니라 미술관 같다 그런 느낌이 들어요.
How about paying a visit to the Moscow Metro to witness not only the metro's beauty and artistry, but also Russian history and culture?
Now on to our next story. The Korean language is not an easy language to learn for foreigners. And there is a Korean language professor in a Thai university who has learned Korean on her own. She also hasn't been to Korea yet. Let's sit in on one of her lessons.
This is a Korean language class in the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce. The students are practicing Korean in earnest. They might not sound perfect, but they are working hard.
제 생각은 한국어는 너무 재미있고 관심이 많이 있어요. 그래서 이 언어 배웠어요.
저는 한국 드라마, 한국 노래를 좋아해서 수업 들을 때 그 한국어 쓸 수 있어서 재밌어요. 네.
The professor of this Korean class is also a Thai native.
안녕하세요. 저는 허강카 대학교에서 한국어를 가르치는 교수 위문마라고 합니다.
Eoi first learned the Korean language from Korean volunteers. After that, she studied Korean on her own and majored in Korean in university.
제가 송카 대학교에서 한국어를 공부했습니다. 왜냐하면 한국 문화가 재미있고 교수님들도 친절하셨습니다.
While she could overcome many problems that she had while studying on her own, the course was not easy.
한국 한국어는 태국어와 많이 달라서 문법이 공부했을 때 많이 힘들었습니다.
Eoi knows how difficult studying Korean can be, so she works hard to pass on her knowledge to her students. Thanks to her efforts, the students enjoy her class.
네, 이 선생님은 친절하시고 잘 가르쳐 주셔서 공부하기 쉽게 할 수 있어요.
네, 어이 선생님은 잘 가르칠 때 한국에 대해서 재미있는 얘기를 해주셔서 정말 재미있어요. 그래서 선생님은 좋아요. 네.
Eoi, who has yet to set foot in Korea, fell in love with Korea even before K-pop and Hallyu boom hit Thailand. She is truly devoted to Korean culture.
Now here's our last story of the day. There is a Korean language radio broadcast every Tuesday in Montreal, Canada. And it is thanks to the efforts of expatriate Hong Seung-nam that listeners have had access to Korean language broadcasting for free for the past 15 years. Let's see what this is all about.
오케이, 다 끝나가요. 시그널 음악 준비하세요.
A Korean radio broadcast is on the air in Montreal, Canada.
안녕하세요. 다이아라전입니다. 네, 오늘은 2015년.
This is VOCO, short for the Korean Voice of Korea. This station uses the FM broadcast band used by CKUT. CKUT is an FM channel that is available in Montreal and neighboring cities. It has been the most popular English language radio station in Montreal for many years now. Hong Seung-nam started VOCO here in May of 2000.
한국 문화를 알리는 방송이 하나도 없었고 여러 나이층, 남녀, 노소 불문하고 여러분들이 한국 방송을 들을 수 있도록.
Hong was a university student at that time and became a producer, thinking that a connection was needed between Korea and Korean expatriates. However, a 30-minute broadcast in English wasn't enough for the expatriate community. Hong requested more airtime and permission to broadcast in Korean. As a result, CKUT became the only channel to have an Asian language broadcast, and starting in August of 2000, Voice of Korea became an hour-long live show.
But definitely in Montreal, this is the only Korean language show in Montreal. So that's a really special thing for CKUT as well as the Montreal community to have.
VOCO is run entirely by volunteers. For Hong, who has led the program for 15 years, her time with VOCO plays an integral role in her life in Montreal.
결혼하고 나서 애가 생겼는데도 많이 이제 시간적으로 많이 힘들었는데도 불구하고 애기 바로 딱 놓고 제일 먼저 하고 싶었던 게 화요일 날 라디오 방송하러 가야지 그거였어요.
There are more than 100 volunteers helping out. As most of them are students, members change often as they graduate and get jobs. Even so, the program has never had a break. Chun Ki-byung has been the host of the program for 10 years now.
네, 지금까지 한 번도 펑크 낸 적이 없었고 다른 커뮤니티는 가끔 이렇게 펑크가 난 적도 있었대요. 이게 쉬운 일이 아니잖아요. 생방송이다 보니까.
It really shows that there's a strong community in Montreal that listens to the show, supports the show, has been involved in the show, and maybe wants to get involved in the show as well.
Besides helping expatriates ease their homesickness, VOCO is now helping second-generation Koreans enter Canadian society.
그 한인 2세들이 여기서 자원봉사한 경험을 나중에 저희가 증명서도 발급하고 추천서도 써줘서 그런 학생들이 취업했을 때 정말 도움이 되는구나 한인 라디오 방송이.
The Voice of Korea is the voice that spread the word about Korea and the Korean community even before the Korean wave came to Canada.
I hope you enjoyed today's stories on Going Global. There is a growing number of men in New York who are getting beard transplants in order to get a bushy look. Men can get a little stressed out about their stubble, and that's why they are opting for the transplant. As a manly and strong image is the trend, it looks like beard transplants will continue for quite some time. We can only wait and see what new trends will appear and take the world by storm. And of course, if a fun and brilliant trend catches on, then there'll be no reason to reject these changes. Going Global will be back next week with more exciting and interesting stories from all around the world. Thank you for watching.